two people who met, made all of their time about this connection, you know what I'm saying, and neglected a whole bunch of other stuff in their life. Hello, beautiful human. Welcome to the Leo Bay Cross Watchers Only reading. I am Princess India if you're new, and if you're family, welcome back, my friend, and whatnot, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So anywho, if you're not familiar with what my Cross Watchers Only reading is, it is a reading that I do for people who are dating in relationships, situationships, entanglements, whatever it is you guys are calling them these days with a Leo person. And you're trying to get a little bit of insight and information into you guys' relationship thingamajig. You know what I'm saying? But I've heard through the grapevine being my comments, that sometimes these resonate flip-flopped and can sometimes be about friends, family members, work situations, not just relationships. So get in where you fit in, my friend. So anywho, let's go ahead and get into your cards for November 15th through December 15th to see what is going on with you and your Leo person of interest. So first card that we have is the Nine of Swords. Interesting, a little bit of anxiety, sleepless nights, and things of the sort, Cross Watcher. And then we have the Four of Swords. Oh my goodness. Did I say the Four of Swords? I meant the Four of Cups. I don't know why I just said Four of Swords. We have the Four of Cups. Interesting. And then we have the Lovers. So I can already tell you guys, as Gemini energy, one of two things here. One, either my cross watcher people are Geminis, or we're talking about more or less the, do I want to say, what word do I want to say crescendo? Yeah, let's go with crescendo of, I want to say antithesis, just don't think that's the proper usage. Would be coming for you guys on the 30th of November. So it would be important in reference to this. So more or less the decision you guys are making in reference to your future, as well as this partnership, the big day would be around the 30th of November. So I think that's the last day of the month. I don't think there's 31 days in November. If there is, please don't judge Princess or talk about her. But anywho, so we have the Four of Cups, and that's coming out of the latter part of October, coming into the beginning part of November. And then energy we have for now is the Nine of Swords. So what I'm seeing with this is that there's been a sense of stagnation between you and your Leo person. It's kind of being at this crossroads with them. And this is more speaking just to where you guys are at present. It's being at this crossroads with them where you're fully aware that where you guys have come from up to this point, like how things have been going in the partnership. They cannot continue this way, or you wouldn't desire for them to continue this way. And there's a need to chart forward into a different direction with this person. However, it's not really knowing at present how exactly to do that. So it's more or less there's a season that's ended in you guys' partnership that's led you to here, but it's not really knowing how exactly to move forward. However, I do also feel with this that there's an option not yet considered. It's more or less looking at the connection or the partnership with this person or whatever, like the situation you guys are in or how it is that you proceed forward, is looking at it from a very black and white perspective. And not really seeing other options that are available. And I'm not sure what we're talking about with that, but whatever the case, it's been kind of wearing on you guys lately. And another thing I can feel with this too, this could also be like a being in limbo with them. So almost as if you guys being together and it's hitting almost like, I don't want to necessarily say a stalemate, because it's not really so much that, you know, there's two sides of this or anything. I mean, there's always two sides to everything, but it's not that I feel like you guys are more or less like, you know, trying to wait each other out. It just feels like the connection is in limbo. So it's almost kind of like you guys aren't together, but you're together kind of deal. It's like an unspoken kind of thing. But the main premise with this is I feel from my cross watcher, it has you feeling stuck. So if I were to put this into more tangible terminology, this would more or less be that with your Leo person, it's almost like waiting for them to give you a sense of clarity. And this is hypothetical of what the rhythm of this sounds like, but it's almost like you're with the person, but you're not with them. So it's an in-between type of thing. But it's, and I said this similar with someone else before, I just can't remember who it is. It was a desire to, not so much a desire, it's like waiting for the person. I think that might have been Taurus that I kind of felt this vibe with. And then I think I felt that too with the Gemini reading too, where it's kind of leaving it up to the other person. So it's kind of like we're together, but we're not together. And I don't know if we're together or we're not together because I'm waiting for this person to give me clarity or to give me an answer or to tell me whether or not we're together. But the potential thing that you're overlooking is the fact that you have power and control over your life, and you could totally just say that we're not together, because you can't really say, you know, we go together, because that would require the other person. But it's more or less like false imprisonment in so many words. So with this Nine of Swords, it's almost like personal torture, if you will, to oneself, because it's feeling as if you're imprisoned and you can't move forward, you can't move on, because you need some type of clarity or closure from this person. You need them to tell you where you guys are, when it's kind of like you have all of the pieces to the jigsaw puzzle, where you could take it upon yourself to say that you're not going to give your power away to this person, waiting for them to give you an answer. So it's more or less, there's a lack thereof of a choice being made here. And where that brings us to the end of this month, it's not saying like you have an expiration date, like you make this choice by this date or else. It's just more or less like a time frame. And I feel that's more or less because we're moving towards, well, the Gemini full moon is on the 30th, but we're moving towards the end of the year. And this is more or less, and then we're going into Sagittarius season 2, like tonight. We're going into Sagittarius season. And I always look at Sagittarius season as a time of reflection and preparation for the next year. Because if you think about the little bow and arrow, and this is pretty much the entire premise of the WokeBook, which the 2021 WokeBook's coming out, by the way, shameless plug. But anywho, you go backwards in order to go forward. So this is a time of reflection where you're looking back at the year and, you know, seeing how it is you want to chart your path forward going into the next following year. So this is more or less, you know, a heads up in the sense of you may be feeling stuck and stressed out about the fact that you're stuck, but this is really saying, cross watcher, that you're not as stuck as you seem to be. It's being in a position where you've disempowered yourself to the Leo person, where you're putting this in their hands, and this is more or less giving you an opportunity to put it back in yours. So the next card that we have for your Leo person of interest, okay, first card we have for them is the Sun card, which is Leo energy. And then we have the Hermit, okie dokie, lemon chokey, that's Virgo energy. And wow, they just are all major arcanas. Then we have the Hierophant in the reverse, and that is Taurus energy. Well, that's all major arcanas. So one thing I can say for sure, for your Leo person with this Hermit card, a lot of what could have caused this distance or separation between the two of you has a lot to do with this person being very self-focused. It's like as soon as I turned over the Sun card, that's the first thing that I thought of, is like they're really focused on themselves. So more or less, it's as if they took a step back or distanced themselves for the sole purpose of them focusing on themselves. Now with this Hierophant in the reverse, that's more or less saying two things for me. It's one, this person is taking a step back to get clear on themselves or to reconnect with themselves, or, you know, spiritual journey, or, you know, it's more or less a solitary time where they're trying to figure stuff out, because their intention more or less with this Sun card is to focus on themselves and to get back to themselves. And this is a very stark contrast in energy, by the way, because when I look at the cross watchers cards, and of course, like I always say, if it resonates flip flop, then, you know, go with it. But with my cross watcher, it's like all of the cards are like very dark energy, like dark kind of drab, dank kind of energy. And then when you're being offered this choice with the lovers, this is more or less everything I was saying before. It's like one chose to disempower themselves, which stagnated everything and had you in less than stellar energy. When you choose yourself and put yourself back in power, it's almost like the energy starts to light up. With your Leo person, it's more or less with them, they've kind of isolated themselves, not just from you, but for everyone, because I feel almost as if this Leo person feels like they've lost themselves in a sense, like they don't know who they are, where they are, what they're doing. And their desire is to get back to this, you know, optimistic, you know, positive, all of my time, energy, and effort is focused on myself type of deal. And with this Hierophant in the reverse, it's more or less because of them aligning with something that's incongruent with them. So it's more or less, if I were to say what this literally looks like to me, it's almost as if this person became someone they weren't in the context of this relationship, since that's what we're talking about. It's more or less this person distanced themselves to get back to themselves, because in this connection, they were aligning with values or a lifestyle or aspiring to something that they felt wasn't who they really were. And because of that, they're attempting to get back to who it is that they really were. Another way I could look at this, looking at the Hierophant and the reverse and the lovers right underneath each other, could very well be that maybe you guys were married or living together, or and it's two ways I could see this. Either you guys were in a traditional relationship and the Leo person doesn't desire a traditional relationship, you know, or you guys were in a non-traditional relationship and, you know, somebody's desiring to be in a more traditional relationship. So it's two different ways that I can kind of see that. But all in all, it's more or less, we're talking all about power here, to be quite honest. We're talking about power, self-empowerment, and acting on power on both sides. I'm seeing with both of these people. And it's two people. I can say the thing I can see in common between the two of you is both of you are desperately attempting to get your sense of power back in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Now, the next card we have is the Ten of Wands in the reverse. Then we have the Star card. That's interesting. And that's Aquarius energy. And then we have the Temperance in the reverse. Wow. And that is Sagittarius energy. So this is interesting. All right. So in the past, like coming into this point where we are now, the Ten of Wands in the reverse is more or less the desire and the need to release a burden, but I cannot talk. A desire and a need to release a burden, but either refusing to do so or feeling obliged to not do so. And that's when we get to a point where this turns into oppression. So more or less, my cross watcher was stagnated. The Leo person decided to distance themselves, because I feel on both sides, this, you know, whatever state you guys were in or whatever led you guys up to this point, or, you know, the connection between the two of you was really oppressive. So it's more or less, I feel both parties were taking on far more responsibility than they were supposed to. And whether that's trying to be something for the other person, because I'm thinking with the Leo person, if they felt like they were doing stuff that was out of alignment with their values, and this may sound kind of cray-cray, but realistically, there are some people in the world that are non-committal, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think the general population, especially, you know, in Western society, we're conditioned to believe that everyone should want to be married. Everyone should want to be in a committed relationship. Everyone should want to spend the rest of their lives with someone. And this is very similar to what I talked about in the Taurus reading. But that is the general assumption. But the truth is that even though it may be a minority population, and I'm saying that statistically speaking, not as like minorities, but it's a smaller percentage of people who may not desire to ever be in a relationship or to ever be married, but there's people like that who do exist. So it's a thought sometimes if a person is non-committal, that's like bad or something is wrong with them, and that's not true. There's just certain people who are built like that. However, I find with human beings in general that because of expectations of what, society, our culture, families, parental figures, what have you, because of expectations of what other people want, sometimes people who innately don't really desire to be married or in a romantic partnership, they will attempt to get into relationships, find them to be very oppressive and confining, you know what I mean, and overwhelming, but they keep trying and then it becomes too much, you know what I'm saying? And that looks a lot like what I'm seeing for this Leo person. Is it right to hurt other people while you're trying to find yourself? No, not necessarily. It's not right. But, not everybody is self-aware. It's like we grow into self-awareness through our experiences in life. And I feel with this particular person that you guys are dealing with, it's almost as if they found this connection to be rather oppressive, because it feels almost as if the cross watcher was expecting something from them, as you should if you're in a relationship with a person. But it's almost like they tried to align with that. They tried to be that and found it to be too much and started to feel like, okay, I need to kind of clear my head and figure out what's going on here. You know what I mean? For my cross watcher person, because I'm looking at what this card says with the 9 of Swords in this deck, they have the word cruelty on it. And I feel that in two ways. I feel that the cross watcher could be perceiving the Leo person as very cruel, like, how dare you, like if this person, left or distanced themselves to focus on themselves, like, how could you do this to me type of deal. Or just on the other end, the cross watcher being really hard on themselves in their head and internalizing all of this. But the thing I would say is, again, and I've said this to a lot of signs, I don't feel that this is something that the cross watcher should be internalizing, because this has less to do with you and more about this Leo person. It's like this Leo person feels as if they've lost themselves and they're trying to find it, But I feel in the midst of this, with the star being at the bottom of this 9 of Swords and the Sun card, I feel that this is something that could be mutually beneficial to the two of you. You know what I mean? Whatever truth it is that you guys are coming to or releasing, whatever this oppressive energy is, it's in what I would say to the cross watcher too, it's imperative to make the most of this time, because I feel with my cross watchers, it's almost as if it's taking this time and sulking over what has happened, but it's not taking this energy and channeling it. So it's still being stuck in the past. It's like, how could they do that? Or why are they acting this way, or what have you? And it's more or less being offered an opportunity for you guys to move forward for yourself, if that's making sense. You know what I'm saying? It still goes back to what I was saying in the beginning of, and this is something I've been saying to a lot of signs, it's giving this person that you're dating way too much power over your life. You know what I'm saying? That's what it really boils down to. It's giving another person way too much power. It's like, I understand extenuating circumstances where, if you're married to someone and you got money tied in and divorces and you're trying to get a divorce, somebody don't want to sign the papers. Like, I understand all of that. That's a whole nother dynamic. What I'm seeing here isn't really, it's not saying that this someone in a situation like that couldn't resonate with this, but what I'm really seeing here is a theme I've been seeing this month with people disempowering themselves to other people, and disempowering themselves to other people, that when these other people realize that they're being disempowered, that they're choosing themselves, but the other person is having difficulty doing that. So it's more or less when things started to have this person betraying themselves, sacrificing their happiness, and their future started to look bleak to them. It's like the Bay person, they're like, whoa, I'm starting to not feel like myself. Like, I need to take a step back and figure some stuff out. But it's like when the person does that, the cross watcher doesn't in turn choose themselves. They're still sitting and waiting for this person who made a decision to do what's best for them. And if I were to like encapsulate this, what I've seen for a lot of other signs, it's more or less that's what the lesson is. It's not, and it's a middle road between what most people would call selfish. It's like, because this is just like how it was with Taurus. It's like a person would say, you know, in a connection with this person, because you're emotionally involved, would say that this Leo person is selfish. You know what I'm saying? But it's like me being the objective observer, I would have to say, like, I can understand how it can look selfish, but at the same time, it's like if a person is in a connection with a person and you start to realize, like, this isn't who I am. Like, this is really making me sad and depressed and oppressed, and my future is getting bleak. And I feel like this is not who I am. I'm no longer doing things that I used to enjoy. I'm not happy anymore. It's like I'm losing, you know, my will to persevere. Since I've been in this connection, it's like, therapeutically speaking, that would be a healthy step to step away from a connection with a person when you realize your life has gotten extremely off track. Now, on the receiving end of that, it can seem extremely selfish. But that's why it's so important to be grounded and rooted in your life revolving around the center of who you are. And I think that's why all these messages are coming out. If a person, anyone, makes their lives about the relationships that you're in, that's very unhealthy, because a relationship is not your life. They're great gifts to life. It's nice to have companionship. You know, it extends your life expectancy. But it's like a relationship is two whole people who come together, you know? And it's like, if your life stops when a relationship stops, it begs the question, have you ever really had a life at all? Or have you been living vicariously through the person that you're with? You know what I'm saying? So I can understand that a person distancing themselves can seem very selfish. But this is one of many times I've seen this month. This is a lesson that my cross watcher people need to learn. Is why are you not a priority to yourself? How can you date someone who, when they see that stuff is not, and I think it really goes back to the misunderstanding of what a healthy relationship looks like. You know what I'm saying? Because not a lot of people know what that looks like. A lot of people are conditioned to think that true love or unconditional love is some form of, you know, complete, ultimate, back-bending self-sacrifice, where if I'm not happy, as long as my partner is happy, that's all that matters. Or, you know, if I'm losing myself and distancing myself from my friends and my family, it's like, if I'm doing that for my relationship, then that's okay. If none of that is healthy or okay, if you're compromising your morals, your values, your belief system, your personality, who you are, your likes, your dislikes, if you're compromising all of that for a relationship, that's not healthy, because that's not mutually beneficial. It's you completely bleaching and voiding yourself for the sole benefit of another human being. But it's just the ultimate, you know, twist of irony that the same person that many people do that for are the first ones who will walk away the second that they're put into a position that I've seen many of the cross watchers have been in for years. And then it's this feeling of like selfishness and so on and so forth. But it's more or less self-preservation, self-respect, you know what I'm saying? Things of the sort. Anywho, but with this last card that you guys have with the Temperance in the reverse, what this is saying to me is like, both people, like I said, it's not me saying that, you know, Leo is right, cross watcher is wrong. It's none of that. There is a level of incongruence. I feel wholeheartedly the two of you being together it's something about the two of you together that stagnates the both of you. It's just like one of those connections where everybody just paused when the two of you got together. A lot of the stuff that both of you did prior to meeting each other, all of that stopped when the two of you met each other, right? And it's more or less an opportunity for both of you to get back on track. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, sometimes that can happen in connections, but it's important to allow a relationship to be a part of your life and not your whole life. Because with this temperance in the reverse, we're talking about emotional instability. You know, it's investing too much into one side of your life and not balancing it out into other domains of your life. It's like, this really looks like to me, two people who met, made all of their time about this connection, you know what I'm saying, and neglected a whole bunch of other stuff in their life. And one person woke up and realized like, whoa, this is too much here. Like, I need to get back to myself type of deal. And that's the cross watcher is still in this sense of stagnation, or, you know, the Leo, however you resonate with this. But the cross watcher person is still in a sense of stagnation, but it's you being offered an opportunity to make a decision to get back on track, to rebalance your life, because your life in relation to this connection has just been very off kilter for some time now. So it's more or less giving you an opportunity to take your power back, my friend. This is very, very heavy, cross watcher. That has been your reading. I'm going over to Vimeo, my website, Patreon, and YouTube members to do you guys extended, where we're going to look at how the person thinks and feels about you. So if you're about that life, follow me over there. If not, I still love your face, and I will see you guys sooner than later, my friends. So I want to stress, cross watcher, that just kind of looking at this, it's not necessarily saying that it's the end all be all between the two of you. It's just really what it's looking like to me is that it's imperative for both of you to be coming from a healthy, stable place in this connection. I feel like this connection became very codependent, you know? And the whole premise is not necessarily saying that you guys aren't supposed to be together. It's just like I was saying in the beginning, the way that you were together, you like how I was saying with the Four of Cups, like how this relationship moved forward up to this point, it's like you can't go back to the way that things were before. It's like that way that things were before was very codependent, you know? And this is more or less an opportunity where the two of you can come into a connection with each other from more of a healthy place. And I really feel like that's the two options that both of you have. It's either you guys go your separate ways and work on yourselves, or if the two of you are coming back together, it's coming back together both like stable to where you're not, you know,